there is a organization in Bay Area called Bay Rent. They actually have offer incentives for homeowners to switch, say, from a gas water heater to heat pump or insulation. So I think probably not everyone is aware of this. So a kind of citywide presentation webinar offer to all the residents, and people can get educated and they can see, even though the upfront investment, say, the heat pump water heater would be twice more expensive than the regular gas heater, but people can see the energy savings, over like 5 years, and you're not giving out any carbon emissions, and so I think those are the I think the educational incentive program that won't cost city too much budget to run that. I think similarly, I think people are pretty aware of a solar panel installation, and I'm curious about the EV adoption rate for our city. Say, since we have this climate action plan from 2013, say in the last 8 years, what is the adoption rate? I think we like to see. I think I read something like, do you expect 60% or more adoption, 60% or more resident having EV by 2030? Just now, I seem to recall that's one of the goal, right? We like to see the adoption. And then I think, only EV, at least in the last couple of years, there's an incentive. You have federal tax help, and you have a right to be on carpool lane. And so I think with a combination of adopting driving the EV, and also having a community EV van for this kind of share commuting, I think that will further reduce the emission just from the transportation alone. Yeah, I think just a lot of these kind of benefit that people would have, driving an EV. I think right now the plugging hybrid seems to be, from my kind of a circle of friends, people seem to lean more on that because they are concerned about the battery, how much duration the battery can last, and what if for just for the convenience of commuting. And so I think a sort of a comparison analysis of 100% EV versus the plug-in hybrid, I think that can help people make a decision, sort of looking at things in the long run.
Thank you. Okay. David, or I mean, the rest of everybody's on the subcommittee, so I think it just leaves David and I as the non-subcommittee members.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
I have a hard time getting the central. I called in.
Okay.
I guess I have two questions. A little bit like we are seeing EV adoption 60% EV by 2035, and so for EV charging, public parking space. I wonder. I'm not sure how many people actually park and then really use the charging, and just a thought that maybe there's dedicated parking space downtown, just like paving it EV parking without the cost of putting up the charging. Would that make any sense? Just a thought that could be easier to achieve, and that may be little bit practice for our city, because lunchtime or sometimes parking may be not as easy to find. So you have EV parking, then they give priority to EV vehicles. So that's one thought. And another thing is the drought issue is so severe, and I wonder, like the incentive, will we put some high priorities on the some kind of incentive for gray water rehab or renovate, what is it called, gray water retrofit to residential homes? And then there's programs. I just haven't really have a great deal to understanding what's out there, but it seems there's a lot of people doing gray water systems, and it could be just to the laundry itself. It's called laundry to landscape. So that may seem to be something maybe a lot of people want to do, and they would not cost that, wouldn't cost a whole house gray water system to be retrofit, and maybe at least helping in some ways. And would that be something can be done a little bit through the city incentive program? So that's my thought on that.
Thank you, Lai.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to pause for a minute in case David has something to add.
Yeah. Well, I think I want to second Gary's emotion in that was a reaction I had, was that the presentation is very comprehensive, but I was left feeling a little overwhelmed and wondering what the highest order bits are. On the other hand, I think it is good to outline the landscape, so I appreciate that. But yeah, that was a reaction I felt in attending the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, happy to discuss further what we, how to adjust as thought necessary. I also want to know what the committee's reaction to that is, to that sentiment, given the goals that they felt like they were working toward.
I'll jump in there. One of the council's feedbacks and one of our intent is to prioritize items. And so that will help focus the energies on a few items. But a lot of the work is related to supporting activities to make the climate action effective. And so to not mention or to leave out supporting or somewhat supporting activities is somewhat of a disservice. I think that and this is my opinion, the better way to help simplify and focus is to use some sort of priority so that it's clear on what you do when and what has the biggest impact.
Yeah, we'll just add that, yeah, there is the prioritization process. There is also the timeline issue, which is when do you do what? And I think that's going to be part of the plan. And we have, from now until 2035, some of these actions won't be implemented right away. So some will be implemented sooner rather than later. Some will be implemented a lot, like 5, 7, 10 years from now. So, so I think that also you know, by looking at the timelines, looking at the prioritization, I think it's going to feel a lot less overwhelming, and I think it's going to give you everybody a sense of, yes, we can do it, rather than, oh, that's a lot to do, we're never going to be able to do it. I think that's going to clarify a lot of things when you guys see that at the end of November in the final plan.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll just
Well,
add that it is a climate action and adaptation plan. So the adaptation piece is also a necessary element of it. And that adds a little bit of heft to the overall list of things. But then yes, a lot of things, as Don said, support each other. So if you don't have the EV infrastructure, then it's hard to switch, encourage to switch to EVs. If you don't have maybe the trees and the whatever green canopy, then it's harder to encourage people to walk a little bit longer instead of taking their car. So all those things come hand in hand. And in the end, we want to have a comprehensive plan that makes that that is in itself adaptable. That makes for not short-term measures. This is going out not just 10 years as normally it would be. This is going out to 15 years and more. So so we while we want to prioritize on the key things, which have the biggest GHG number, it's not just about counting the number of CO2 molecules. It's about developing a city that that is from a holistic point of view.
Thank you. So I have a few items also to touch on. So one thing I want to make sure to say is there are a lot of organizations, whether it's BayREN, which is a regional organization for our area, or it's SVC, or all these different, they have a lot of information and rebates already there. So, when we want to encourage our residents to be doing retrofits and such, I think one of the most important roles we can play is kind of as a consolidator and a trusted source for getting and promoting and getting that information out there. I don't think we need to reinvent those wheels. Because there's already, again, like I said, so many organizations that are already providing that, and now that we're, in a virtual world, we can help just promote a lot of those informational resources and rebates. One thing I've heard is one of the, if you're talking about heat pump retrofitting, a difficult part of that process right now is the finding reliable and reasonable contractors to do the work. Maybe a little bit of a point in time, but again, if we can help we can be the some kind of trusted source in working with getting a list of contractors who perform that work, encouraging them to do that, so they're not charging what are right now fairly high rates to do some simple work. So that's kind of a down in the details. But if retrofitting is one of the top priorities, I do think that there are strategies that would be fairly easy for the city to add value without necessarily a lot of investment of resources. I wholeheartedly agree with the approach of including all the, a comprehensive list of measures, but then prioritizing and having the biggest, trying to find the ones that are going to be easiest and most impactful for us to implement first. And the comment about the kind of can the grid handle going 100% electric? I think it's, I find it a little interesting that that's a question being asked of a city, because, you know, we're not the ones tasked with providing that energy. So I'm not quite sure why that's, you know, why the council has concern with that. That is the energy providers and the, you know, we have a whole system set up that, very complex system that regulates that. But doing energy management by promoting battery storage and, you know, to have our residents have more battery storage, and to have the city have its own energy management, you know, systems with microgrids could help alleviate some of that concern about the taxing the grid by providing 100%, you know, having more electric appliances. So,
Is it just me, or are we having a hard time hearing Laura?
can you not hear me?
Yeah, I hear, how to say, it's a little low, the
Low.
voice.
Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, I was just saying that, you know, we can both promote to our residents to install batteries, storage batteries, as well as look into the city having battery storage and microgrids to help alleviate the pressure that having more electric appliances might put on the grid overall. Since that seemed like it was a concern that was brought up at the council presentation. I think those were the main points I wanted to touch on, but I might think of something else later. But I think, again, I think the plan is looking very comprehensive and integrated with the city's other projects in terms of complete streets. Oh, one other thing I did want to kind of bring up, the idea of the shuttle. To me, seems like a relatively low cost, perhaps, but that could have a big impact in terms of trip reduction, especially if it included access for school-age kids. So I would put that on a priority list. I think that's all my input. And if there are no other commissioners wanting to chime in anymore, thank you.
I just wanted to, Laura, I just wanted to make one comment. Someone had mentioned that since we're driving expect to be driving EVs, it's okay to be driving rather than biking. And I would encourage, I would encourage folks to not go in that direction, because there's still the issue of microplastics from tires being washed down to our oceans, and that is one of the biggest sources of microplastics. So our first priority within the transportation realm should be to reduce single vehicle travel. Even if we all have EVs, we should still try and get in our cars a little bit less.
Right, there are, you know, I understand his point that, you know, in terms of pure green GHG reduction, but there are, of course, a lot of other impacts driving. There was one other thing I was going to mention, which was, and now I'm forgotten. Oh, you know, in terms of EV infrastructure, I mean, we all know that there's going to be fairly large federal investment in EV infrastructure, and so being poised to know what we as a city want to do in that realm, I think would be a very good opportunity for us to, you know, build that out for our city. Okay. if there's nothing else on that item, we'll move on to the rest of our work plan. Miko, did you have any comments on the work plan?
I do have a couple. So in the packet, there was 2 webinars that are coming up this week. One is a homeowner energy efficiency and electrification webinar on the 18th, and also on the 18th, there's a solar webinar. So one through Bayren and one through Acterra. And both of those are free. Also, the City Council had on their November 9th agenda to discuss the subcommittee for the Lehigh, the Stevens Creek quarry. And so it sounded like they decided that the council subcommittee would, and I guess if Sally Meadows is here, she can correct me, but that they are going to cover both the quarry and the cement plant. As far as the subcommittee is going to be monitoring the activity that's happening around the quarry and Lehigh. And so they didn't discuss specifically the direction to the Environmental Commission subcommittee, but I believe they agreed to allow the council subcommittee to determine the direction that they would give to the Environmental Commission subcommittee.
Yeah, I sat in on that meeting, and that's my interpretation as well. And what Amiko is referring to is the Stevens Creek Quarry, which is an aggregate quarry, which is separate from Lehigh, which is a limestone and cement production facility.
Okay, and we have Councilmember Meadows is gonna, I think,
Oh.
clarify for us.
Well, actually, I'm not going to clarify. I'm just going to agree that Amiko got it right, as did Don. So yes, we're going to cover both Stevens Creek and Lehigh, and the subcommittee will get back to the Environmental Commission as to what the subcommittee on the Environmental Commission should do. So that's actually probably more confusing than what Amiko said, but we're in agreement.
Thank you. That's all I had, Laura, on that one.
And do we have any public comments on this item on our work plan? Okay, and any other commissioners have items to report on other work plan items? Okay.
Well, I don't think that I sat in on the meeting on the 9th, and I think that the Lehigh subcommittee was the main item of interest to the Environmental Commission, or directly impact Commission. I don't think I have anything else to report out of that council meeting.
Thank you, Don. And I actually was going to try and listen in on the meeting, and then I couldn't do it at the time, so I went to go back and listen to the recording. And I don't know if it's just me, but the recordings of the council meeting don't work for me. I don't know if anybody else has tried to watch a recorded council meeting lately, but for whatever reason, I tried different browsers and I could not.
Is that through the Facebook link, Laura? The easiest way, because I think I did have trouble the way that you're talking about when you go to the agenda and you try to pull it up. When you go to the council meeting, just that homepage that has all of them, just right in the language in the top, it has a link to the Facebook. If you click on that, you can scroll down the Facebook page to any of the meetings, and they're on YouTube. So you just click on it and they should come up way faster, because I had a little bit of trouble with the other way too. Some would work, some wouldn't work. And it's hard to, move forward or go forward or back, but yeah.
that's the only way I could get it to work also. But I did catch my notes here. There was one other thing at the council meeting, and that was passed as a consent calendar item, and that's the solid waste ordinance that was presented or Amico talked about it. Maybe it was in October, maybe it was our September meeting. That went and was passed as part of the consent calendar item.
SB 1383, yes. We're still gonna do city staff updates, or is that what we're doing right now? Because I do have a few.
We're on our work plan, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, so anything else on the work plan? No? All right, then we can do city staff updates.
so you may have received an email from the city clerk about ethics training. That if you receive that email, that means that you still need to do that. And when you do, you'll get a certificate at the end. I believe you have to be in that training for 2 hours. So there is a minimum time that you need to be in there. So even if you're able to get through all the questions sooner than 2 hours, if you're not actually in it for 2 hours, I don't believe you get a certificate. So once you get the certificate, then you can email it to the city clerk or the instructions that are on there. If you need that additional information, or if you can't find that email, you can email me, and then I will forward your information to her so she can resend that to you. If you didn't receive it, then you might just be up to date on it. So you would have only received it if you still need to do that training.
No, Amico, is that a yearly or bi-yearly?
I believe that is every year. It sounds like, but I can double check.
Who would it have come from? Just to double check, make sure that it's not hiding somewhere.
Andrea Chilamangos.
It's an every other year training.
Oh, every other, thank you.
Yeah.
Amico, one other thing that you may want to point out to the commissioners is the way in which you can easily sign up for notices from the city government.
Oh, sure. So if you, it might be easier if, do you mind if I share my screen?
Please
Should
do.
I- Okay. If this is gonna let me.
Well, if the host can't do this, we're in trouble.
Okay. It's just that my internet's slow pulling up the actual website. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see that? That's just the homepage of the city website. So if you want to be added onto the notification list for any committee or commission or city council agenda, if you go to the top where it says commissions and committees, you just click on that part there. You can go down here and you just click right here. So it's going to tell you stay connected, sign up for e-notifications. Click on that. And then it lets you, sorry, it's kind of slow, but it lets you just click on anything that you want to get the notifications for. And those notifications include the agenda packets. So you should all have the one for the Environmental Commission. If not, just go ahead and select that and sign up. But if you're interested, if you already have that and you're interested in one of the other ones, you can sign up for any or all.
And it also has the city manager update, weekly update, news and announcements.
News announcements, you can get all of it, or you can select whatever you want. So basically, after you click the ones you want, you type in your email, you hit subscribe, and you will then get all those emails. Up there. And then They also, one more thing is there's a trim a tree program that we just found out about, and you can reserve a tree and decorate it. And so they, wanted us to reach out to the commissions, because if, the Environmental Commission wanted to, or maybe just a couple of the commissioners wanted to reserve a tree and decorate it, you would have to fill out the form. I emailed everybody earlier today, so there's a little link there. If you're interested, you click on that, fill out the form, pay the $50 to reserve the tree, and then they'll let you know, I believe this week, where the tree would be, and then all the details for that. And if you
So
didn't
we
get,
don't have to specify which, I guess they have like for some, is it like police or youth commission, or we don't have to specify which one we want the tree to be at. They're going to decide for us, right? If we want to participate.
so when you fill it out, you could just say what group you're representing. So you can say you're representing the Environmental Commission. I don't believe they let you pick the spot of where the tree is going to be. I believe that's predetermined, and then they will let you know where that's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Also, part of this, did anyone attend the October 26th meeting? Because I didn't have anybody down for that one.
26th council meeting.
Council meeting, yeah.
I did not.
Okay.
Well, I can go back and look at it and see if there was anything super important for us, but
That was the first reading of SB 1383, but I don't think there was anything aside from that. Yeah. And then I do need somebody for the November 30th and the December 14th meeting. We'll start with this November 30th. Can anybody attend the November 30th meeting?
I can do it. David Klein.
Oh, okay. You can do that.
I heard David Klein. And then
Yeah.
December 14th.
December 14th, I can do that.
That was you, Lei?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for me.
great, thank you. All right, any commissioner reports or comments?
Well,
I have one thing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. I wanted to mention that I have been doing a lot of work with an EV charging startup that just went public called Volta Charging. And among the things I've been doing for them is developing planning tools for utilities to look at all the different factors that would sort of like predict where EV charging stations are needed and what the electrical grid infrastructure needs are to support those. And of course, like all of the projections going into that, having to do with EV adoption at really at a very granular level, going down to the city block group. So I wanted to mention that because a lot of these questions that are coming up about EV adoption and impact of EV charging is something that's sort of fresh in my mind. I have a lot of data now potentially to support looking at plans. So wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you. That might be useful for the subcommittee if they have questions.
Yeah.
And Don, did you have an update?
No, I was one of the commissioners that sat in with Don Bray and the other person from Silicon Valley Clean Energy, the presentation that they made, and I found the slides very interesting and the data presented. And if I'd suggest environmental commissioners may want to call up that. I think I can forward to Amico if you desire, if you don't have a link to that already.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Thank you. Other commissioner reports? Okay. Well, I just want to thank the CAP subcommittee again. I know you guys have been working hard and doing overtime with presentations and everything, and really appreciate all that work and to good effort. So
Seconded, yeah, actually amazing amount of work it seems there is being put into that. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, it's a nice presentation. I really think so. Yeah, it's nice.
okay, if do we have any future agenda items we want to recommend? We did have, I think, one we had put on in the past was a presentation from the Green Team at Los Altos High, and Amico let me know that because it's a very busy time of year for high schoolers, they're gonna do that in the beginning of next calendar year. So, which is fine. We don't need to add to their stress. So.
One thing I wanted to think of moving, particularly has to do with the cement and the quarry. There are lots of trucks that are going on the road. The Stevens Creek Canyon Road, Foothill Expressway. I think we should have a way to monitor GHG from all this traffic, because your business is allowed to have 1,300 trucks running, to and fro each day. I'm sure there's a major environmental impact to us. And I wonder if the effort by ECHO, the consultant who did all this monitoring, is there a way that we can add that as part of the monitoring, and then to assess the impact to our city?
I'll jump in, not that I have the best knowledge here, but I'll just generally say that when they calculate vehicle miles traveled, they use data from is it Bay Area Air Quality, or is it BTA that is whatever models and calculations they do, it should theoretically include that. I don't know the level of granularity that they're able to get, but it should theoretically include the impact of that business operation.
Yeah, I don't know that kind of detail yet, but just a thought. I think we're.
What was the question?
Just whether
Sorry to interrupt.
whether the GHG emissions from the travel to and from the quarry would be included in.
Oh, the quarry.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm particularly talking about the air pollution, the GHG emissions impact to our community. Yeah, there's a lot of trucks a day that have been operating. I guess we just heard that. I think that we'll work with the council subcommittee and then and see what would be the priority things that we need to be monitoring. but that's just a thought that I know that water, you know, has been monitoring by the county water board and the various metal, you know, pollution and stuff like that.
Well, I have just one thought there is that I related to my last comment is one thing that I've learned about is there's like a number of different like public data sets relating to transportation road volume. And I don't know, and they even split it out in terms of commercial vehicles and then heavy commercial vehicles. And it's like a bunch of traffic monitoring stations along roads. And it's even hourly granularity on the traffic volume. I don't know if that, we'd have to look at the data to see if it's informative for the roads, you know, important roads relating to the quarry itself. I wouldn't be certain about that, but it's something we could look into perhaps.
Yep, that's
to
an
get
idea.
a sense. Yeah.
I think Amico and I and you were, you know, trying to, you know, have a like brainstorm meeting. Let's find a time that.
Oh yeah, I guess that's a good
Yeah.
segue to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, if there are no other ideas for future agenda items, I think we are ready to adjourn. So thank you, everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving, and thanks for all your work.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.